For over 10 years of my life, my shlichus was full-time deprogrammer. From one case to the other, from one young person to the other, from one family to the other, I dealt with basically the full gamut of many of the cults. Now again, understand, when you talk about cults, I point out that there are thousands of cults. So obviously I didn't deal with every cult, but all the major cults, I've dealt with young Jews and sometimes non-Jews that were involved in those cults. I've met with cult members, cult leaders, and sometimes gurus themselves. I got involved from 1972, and I'm still involved today. In the process, and the other people that I was dealing with, the psychologists are the psychologists that were on our team, the psychiatrists that we sometimes had to go and reach out for sometimes medication, the other doctors that we worked with, the courses that I've taken, and one area in particular I want to point, because when you talk about mind control, a theory and philosophy and approach comes to mind, NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And I am a student of NLP. I'm also studied hypnosis, particularly when you're talking about cults. The concept of mind control and hypnosis does play a great role. In fact, for those of you, if you really want to understand this interview well, I urge you to watch a movie called Captive Minds. It's on YouTube. It's a 54-minute film. It will give you an understanding, and then when I use certain terms like cult and other things like that, you'll understand that basically what I'm really talking about is some of the approach. We're not talking about the chomer, we're talking about the tzura. We're not talking about the essence of the philosophy, but we're talking about the style of delivery and how you get someone involved and some of the techniques that are used to keep that person involved within the cult. Is the call of a shofar a cult? According to my definition of cult, there are a lot of definitions of cult. According to my definition of cult, the call of the shofar, in fact, is a cult. But then goes the next question. Is it avodah zarah? And if you read my letter clearly that I wrote to the young man studying in one of the yeshivas, I said clearly that it's not avodah zarah. I say it's a cult, but you can have parva cults. Let's use another word for our audience. You can have a kosher cult. And it doesn't, just because you use the word cult, it doesn't make it treif. What you're really saying about the cult is that some of the techniques that they're using, particularly in keeping you involved and mind control, that is what they're using. And remember, the callers shofar themselves have claimed for 2 or 3 years that they are basically a Jewish version of another cult that's out there called Landmark. Or some of us would call it, had other names, because that cult itself evolved from other different groups. So they clearly said that I've copied or taken from another existing cult. So they're using the same techniques and using it in a way of Kedusha. Now, of course, once you say that it's someone taking it from a different area, using it to Kedusha, then you have to question who is doing that transformation. Who's making the change? Is it, in fact, Rabbonim, people who understand of Kedusha? Or is it people of Torah, scholars? And fine. So I'm okay with going to the cult called the Call of the Shofar. And I'm okay, and as I've said, I sent people to the Call of the Shofar. But we have to understand, what does that mean? Why are you going, or what are you hoping to gain? And if in fact what they're claiming to accomplish is what they're going to be delivering in the deliverance. The premise of my letter, after I, basically portray the experience that I've had, and I just want to make mention, because some of the people who made comments understand that I dealt with hundreds and hundreds of kids, mostly kids, young people, but also families that were involved in the cults. I wrote a book. In the book, I touch upon more than 100 cases, and I could write another 3 books And not all of them about my successes. Some of them, unfortunately, I wasn't successful in every case. And I don't think any shliach is. All I say is that within Chabad, I'm the foremost person, the person that has dedicated much of his life. There is no one else out there that has dedicated themselves full time. Now there is in meditation, someone out in Australia. In cults, there's someone out in Australia. There is the person who trained me, Rabbi Shlomo Thaler, who today lives in Jerusalem, Israel. There has been Cian Kravitz, which really dealt mostly with all different types of groups, but mostly Christian groups. So I think when I talk about, use a terminology or talk about my area of expertise, the Gemara says clearly, Ein chacham kabal anasayin. The wise person is the person who has experience, and my experience is fully there. Okay. But when we talk about a specific thing like call it a shofar, remember, as Lubavitcher Chassidim, all we have is the words of our Rebbe. And our Rebbe, there is a number of things. There are letters and siches in different places where the Rebbe has mentioned, also to certain individuals. But I build my presentation on one specific sicha of the Rebbe. And that is the sicha of Yud Gimel Tammuz Tovshin Lamed Tes, 1979. Now, it is known to those who were involved in dealing with members of cults. Before that sicha that the Rebbe spoke, the Rebbe sent a letter to 4 different people that asking them that they should see to it to try to take the value of meditation away and separate it from the religious cult. Therefore, we see the Rebbe says clearly, there are some methods. These methods can be very, very therapeutic. And understand, at best, Call of the Shofar is a therapeutic environment. It's a 3-day therapeutic experience. Yes, they don't tell you what is going to happen because they want to have the full impact of the therapy. They want to be able to perhaps, move you, shock you into some of these things. The sessions that they have within the Call of the Shofar, they're not new sessions. They're clearly taken from many other cults that were around for tens of years. And the founder says clearly that he has taken them and tells you, originally he said it on his website, from which cults and which groups he has taken them from. So I'm not, and by the way, understand that these exercises, these experiences are very, very powerful. Yes, it moves you emotionally. In fact, one of the criticisms against it, that it doesn't last. It's a sizzle without a steak. It moves you emotionally. And as so many have said, if you're going to move people so much, open them up, open their emotions up, you should have people who are trained, meaning doctors that are there to be able to put them back together again. Just opening somebody up, anyone can do. You can move someone emotion. You got to make sure that they're going to move to the right step in a very healthy way. So now, let's go to the words of the Rebbe. The Rebbe says, listen, there is some therapeutic value in meditation. But, the Rebbe says, it is like medication. Medication heals the sick, but will damage the healthy. And I therefore say, in the bottom line about the Call of the Shofar, it is a very good process. It's a 3-day therapeutic experience that will heal the sick. Now we say sick, what does sick mean? We don't mean sick that you're sick, but people who need help, who need emotional help. And therefore, if you need emotional help, I encourage you to go. Don't shem sich nicht verkennen. Do not be embarrassed. Go for the emotional help that you need. And it is more effective than therapy in many cases. But here is a clincher. In one line, it's very simple. The people that are associated to Call of the Shofar, they talk about their therapeutic 3-day session as vitamins. It will strengthen you, it will help you and I call it antibiotics. They say vitamins, I say antibiotics. I say, you have to remember one thing, premise. If you want to go to this thing, you have to say, listen, you know what? I am sick. I am weak in a particular area. I need emotional help. I need emotional strength, I need to go to this thing. And then that makes it permitted, because now you're doing something that's medical. Now, if they are covering their bases of medical, ask them. I don't have to sell their product. If they should have doctors when they open the people up and when they do those experiences. But again, though all those techniques are not new, I urge you to watch the movie of Captive Minds, made in Canada, in Toronto, Canada. It will show you clearly some of these things of how suggestion works and the subconscious mind. And it's very, very powerful, and it does work. Then the question is how long it lasts. That again, if you go and you look into Landmark, the forum, and Google them, you have a lot of criticism from the Goyish world. So many say, listen, if you're selling a product that doesn't really come from Yiddishkeit, you don't have to dress it up and say you're selling Yiddishkeit. And to my brothers and sisters, and many of you who are listening to my voice and watching me now, you know me. I've put in my time, and you know the type of person that I am. Yes, I'm helping people. I'm a therapist. I've helped literally thousands of families over the 40 years that I'm involved. But to you, I say, those who don't know me, I say, listen, please understand. Don't get fooled to think that this is going to be repackaged Chassidus. It's not Chassidus that they're giving you. They're giving you therapy. And if you need therapy, go there and take the therapy. But for that 1 minute to think that, well, das Oisius, es stimmt mit Chassidus, well, within this Therapeutic Tanya we can understand this, and this Therapeutic Tanya. Well, of course, the Torah is psychology, Chassidus is psychology, and therefore it's going to stim, it's going to fit with many other things that psychologists say. Of course, the greatest psychologists, if you want to learn psychology, learn Pirkei Avos. That's the first book on psychology. It has nothing to do with mitzvahs. It has to do with psychology, attitudes of people, derech eretz. And likewise, in Chassidus, there are certain parts of Chassidus, or within Chassidus, certain Rabbeim that basically taught things that were more on Haga, more dealt with derech eretz, and others dealt with more of the Torah and the spiritual aspect. So the call of the Shofar, in my opinion, is not Kedusha being sold. It's therapy being sold. It's associated with goodness, fine. If it helps you, fine. I want to stress, I've never called it Avodah Zarah, and those who want to criticize it, the worst you can call it is Avazrayu Avodah Zarah, meaning that this is my interpretation and understanding of what the Rebbe says, that it can lead. Because if you go to this, you can say, oh, well, you know what? Torah doesn't have the answers. Chassidus doesn't have the answers. Oh, maybe I can now look in other places, like in other cults or other religious cults, to get the answers. Then it's called Avazrayu Avodah Zarah. And then to you, I say, be very, very careful. You're going to get in trouble. Others say, look, I'm here for therapy. It's going to help me. I'm very happy for you. I would endorse you to go and say to work on your emotional issues.
Yeah.
Rabbi Binyamin, in a closing remark, let me say the following: I cannot answer in an interview like this all the questions, and every family within Chabad and within the world is different. We all have different needs. First of all, I want to make an offer. If anyone has questions, please feel free to call me. Call my office. If you want to set an appointment, I'll come to your house. I'll sit and explain to you the goods and the good points and the bad points of this or any other cult or any other group or any other therapeutic value. So understand, we can't touch everything. We try to do the best I can. I can say as follows. Across the board, if you have any doubt, this is not a place that you should go for 3 days. Any doubt, you should not go. If you do have emotional challenges that you're basically faced with, then I encourage you that you should go to the call of the Shofar, because they're a therapeutic thing run by a 3-day therapy that's run by Frum Yidden that may be valuable to you. In one line, again I say, the call of the Shofar They sell themselves as vitamins. I say they're antibiotics. They are medicine. And if you need medicine, then that's one address that you should look into and to go to. But if you're fully healthy, you're serving Hashem, you are learning Chitas and Rambam, you have a mashpia, you attend Fabrengens, you learn Chassidus, then you do not need the call of the shofar. And if, for some reason or other, you fulfill these things, and by the way, I want to know that you're in fact doing, not even as a mashpia that you go to Fabrengens, but you go to a normal Fabrengen, not lately where sometimes we say L'chaim very well, but we don't do the other part of the Fabrengen properly. Even the Negunim are not sang properly. And then surely the talk is not the proper talk. But if I guarantee you, if you're doing your Chitas and your Rambam, you have a mashpia that you're talking to, you're studying Chassidus, and you're attending Fabrengens, I guarantee you you will not have a need for this. And as one of the Choshev Yidden who went to this told me, he says, but this program helped me open up to my mashpia. I said, well, you had a problem opening up. I don't have a problem to open up. And the question also is it the problem that you have to strengthen your relationship with your mashpia? Be it as it may, there's a lot of tumult within our community about this. Please, do not, if you know someone who went there, there's no reason to look down at that person. They went there, either they were duped. Some people were duped simply not even know where they were going to, because they were told, just go and it's going to work out. And it's very, very hard now to say, oh, I spent $650, a lot of money on my family, and now, oh, I'm sorry, it was wrong. You know what? You don't have to admit that it was wrong. I'm not going to tell you were wrong. You probably had to go. If you went Hashgacha Pratis, probably had to go. Do not look at someone negative if they needed to go. Just like we don't look at negative someone if they walk into a drugstore and buy any type of drug or any type of necessity or any type of vitamin whatsoever. Some of us have deficiencies, some of us have strength. And let's use this time where there was so much exchange to help each other, strengthen each other, to do the right thing. And as the Rebbe did not only encourage us, but guarantee us that through Achdus we'll be able to bring Mashiach.